Mike and Harky's Milky Crusade by me, Jason Livan. This is a subchapter that follows after the events of Chapter 1. If you haven't read, listened to, or watched it, I suggest you should do so before coming to this subchapter. Chapter 1a. A bottle of Grenadendale. In South Hertfordshire, near Hemel Hempstead, there was a beige rocky mountain valley with the mountains surrounding the fortress as a circular ring. The area was called the Sutton Buttons High Rule. No, that's what was the king's title was now. King Harkinian of Hyde Rule in the Sutton Button. Now I understand. In the ring, there was a stone brick medieval moat castle made from the rocks from the Sutton Button. The humongous, solitary castle was dark on the exterior, normal for a building since the time was 11:59 p.m. The enormous pathway from the wooden platforms and the smooth stone pathway that led directly to the private junction of 2C, inside the secret pathway hidden inside the mountain. Not even the International Space Station would be able to see the fort nor the mountains, regardless of what technology they had on board. Thick, happy clouds swayed westwards with time, and the moon shone brightly in the sky, with some obstructions from the clouds. This castle was called, in giant black Roman fonts, Ludwig's Castle Hotel. Wait, it was actually Hyrule's castle, despite nobody living in that bothered to change at all. The king just got back from Lidl Didl and headed to the kitchen. The checkered, polished to gleaming tiles on the floor and pillars reflected the light inside and any objects like a mirror. The chandelier above the tall room shined brightly. There was also a white, vintage-style fridge freezer and a wooden kitchen counter with a chrome sink faucet. The king chuckled joyfully and moved his body excitedly with the dangerous bottle of semi-skimmed milk held in his right hand. The bottle expanded and contracted 3 times, giving Harkinian the idea that the time for tea was now. "Whee!" the royal cried eagerly. This cup of tea was something he looked forward to all night. He jumped. "Oh!" he exclaimed as he jumped. He bounced so high, he flew with the gush of his "oh!" and the noise of a whistle increasing pitch as he ascended and hit the question block above 10 meters from the floor with his head. He had already passed 5 stories of windows. The block spawned a black, slick Russell Hobbs kettle, enough for 5 cups of tea. The kettle and the insane royal fell to the ground. The milk and kettle survived the fall without breaking, while Harkinian fell flat on his face, but otherwise unharmed. Determined, he got up to make his cuppa. The noise of that Batman tune from the 60s and whooshes became louder as the Playmobil zoomed closer to the castle. Bang! The purple car crashed upside down right next to the block that the king just hit on. Scaffolding fell into the kitchen from where the vehicle smashed into. The song stopped playing, probably since the media player broke from colliding into the castle. Good old Michael Rosen was here to save the night. He got out of the vehicle immediately, followed by falling with his arms up as it made a whoop. Harkinian filled the kettle and began boiling it. The black kettle heated up like a cauldron and was on the brink of whistling almost after 5 seconds. Then he scrubbed the table while saying happily, "Scrub, scrub," but it was disrupted when he heard a smack coming from behind. Rosen crash-landed behind him. Boy, that poet's eyes were shocked as ever, as was his face and body. Confused, the king turned his head to see the stubble guy. Questioned the royal. "Quick!" shouted the Lidl Didl assistant agitatedly. "Get out of here! That milk's about to go off." He pointed at that bottle of milk. "So what?" comforted the orange brat. "So this. Look at the label." Rosen was terrified as a fur-free frightened bear. The king picked up the milk and read the label. His personal feelings changed from being happy too very frightened without delay. "Ho!" he bellowed. The label showed him that the milk was not an ordinary milk. It was Grenadendale's exploding milk. "No!" thought Harkinian and Michael simultaneously. "We are doomed!" At that moment, the clock tower outside struck 12 midnight with a bell sounding like Big Ben. The plastic milk bottle flashed red and emitted a short and quiet klaxon as to prepare Michael and the panicking monarch for their expected demise. Poor Harkinian and the unfortunate Rosen bled out indescribable panic as their final moments. The king ran back and forth with their horrified face, whereas Rosen screamed uncontrollably in short bursts, while he had his eye squinted like a squeaky mouse. Mr. Me suddenly found an escape route: the refrigerator. "Quick!" he yelled. "In the fridge!" "In the fridge!" the ruler replicated anxiously. Both the old man and the crazy leader pounced right into the fridge without opening it. The bottle flashed and uttered the klaxon 3 last times. Boom! There went a supermassive explosion. The red smoke produced filled up like a microscopic nuclear explosion. It was still large. The blast made the fridge flew with high speed into the night starry sky. The occupants screamed as they didn't know where they were going. Maybe oblivion. What was left behind after the explosion? It was the pile of rubble and the oak wooden scaffolding that held up the whole castle until that very moment. Who saw the full event? Just Rosen and the coward. The fridge catapulted through the mostly cloudy skies. A whizzing shuttlecock registered trademark watermark smacked the fridge away from the sky into a passing aeroplane. Smack! The plane flapped its wings normally. No damage was done. The fridge dashed out of the troposphere, more than 16 kilometers. The passengers screamed on every contact with an object. The giant Super Mario head smacked the fridge upwards. "I'm back!" explained the Italian floating head to you. The uncontrollable white appliance suppressed the stratosphere, the mesosphere, the thermosphere, passing the ISS into the exosphere. It floated slowly and steadily upside down in space. The plentiful numbers of stars twinkled the night away. Actually, they all twinkled forever. The head of Hyrule in Sutton Button and the shop assistant were in space. Fortunately, neither passenger had nausea throughout their escape, although the touch, taste, sight, sound and smell were all the same: disgusting, cold and cramped. Rosen wondered about the trip they just had. Does any of this stuff even surprise you anymore? Not really. All at once, one final smack hit the fridge freezer. It was a silver-colored flying saucer with black opaque windows on the top floor, and the ship looked like two frustrons wielded on the bottom ends of each other. The airtight fridge collided into the ship as it flew away from Earth. The extraterrestrial sound was so odd, I can't even describe it other than it was from space, though the king screamed "Oh!" as they flew away. I hope you enjoyed Mike and Harky's Milky Crusade. A reminder that this chapter may be altered from the final product. Any potential changes and more chapters will be uploaded as soon as I make them. In the meantime, you can read what I got so far by going to the link in the description. If you like, you can comment on how did the chapters or the presentation went. You can subscribe to my YouTube channel and follow me on Twitter under JSoonLivan.